All right, today we are diving into one of the most talked about personal finance books of all time, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We're going to distill the core game-changing ideas from it, and let me tell you, this isn't just about spreadsheets and budgets. It's about a complete and total shift in how you think about money. So, let's get right into it. Let's just start with a really direct question. If your paycheck stopped coming in tomorrow, how long could you last? A week? Maybe a month? A few months? This question gets right to the heart of what the book calls the rat race, that feeling of being completely dependent on your job just to pay the bills, which basically traps you. The entire philosophy we're about to unpack is designed to change your answer to that question to, as long as I want. So the whole book is framed through this really compelling story of Kiyosaki's two dads. First, you have his actual father, who he calls his poor dad. This was a super educated guy, a PhD, who had a great, secure government job, but, well, he struggled with money his entire life. And then there was his best friend's father, the rich dad. He was a high school dropout who ended up becoming a self-made millionaire. These two guys represented two totally different ways of thinking, which led to two totally different destinies. And this slide just lays it all out, right? I mean, look at the difference. Poor dad's perspective, the love of money is the root of all evil. That kind of treats money like it's a bad thing. Rich dad completely flips it. The lack of money is the root of all evil, because that's what causes stress, fear, and missed opportunities. Poor dad says, go get a safe job. Rich dad says, no, go own the company. But for me, the most powerful one is at the bottom. I can't afford it. That's a sentence that just shuts your brain off. End of story. But how can I afford it? Well, that's a question. It forces your brain to start looking for solutions. And that right there is the fundamental difference. Okay, so this leads us right into the first huge rule from Rich Dad. And it's one that totally goes against everything we're usually taught. And that rule is, stop working for money. It's a direct challenge to the idea that a bigger salary is the end goal. Instead, it proposes something much, much bigger. The idea here is simple, but it is so profound. See, when you work for money, you're trading your time for a paycheck. And time is the one thing you can never get back. If you stop working, the money stops coming in. Simple as that. But when you get your money to work for you, you're building systems that make money whether you're actively working or not. Your money is out there, making more money 24/7, even when you're on vacation or sleeping. And this right here is the trap that keeps people stuck working for money. The rat race. We've all seen it, right? You get a pay raise, which is awesome. So you buy a bigger house or a nicer car. But now your expenses have gone up too. So you're just as dependent on that next paycheck as you were before, you just have nicer stuff. And with things like inflation and job insecurity these days, being stuck in that cycle can feel really, really risky. Okay, so if the big goal is to have money work for you, how in the world do you actually do that? Well, this brings us to the most practical lesson in the whole book. Kiyosaki calls it minding your own business. And he doesn't mean you have to go start a company from scratch. What he means is you need to focus on one thing, and one thing only, building up your asset column. And this is probably the book's most famous idea. It's just so brilliantly simple. Forget all the complicated financial jargon for a second. It all comes down to cash flow. Does it put money in your pocket each month? Great, it's an asset. Does it take money out of your pocket each month? Well, then it's a liability. That's it. That's the whole game. Let's make this super concrete. Assets are things like stocks that pay you dividends, or a rental property that gives you monthly income. Things that generate cash. Liabilities take cash away. And here's where the book gets really controversial. Your own house. Traditionally, we're told it's our biggest asset, but if we use Kiyosaki's super simple cash flow rule, well, your house takes money out of your pocket every single month, right? Mortgage, taxes, insurance, repairs. So it functions like a liability. That is a massive mindset shift for a lot of people. So how do you build up this asset column? This slide basically shows you the engine of wealth creation. You don't just quit your job. Not yet, anyway. Your job is the starting point. It's the tool you use to buy your first assets. Then those assets start making their own money. And here's the magic step. Step 4. You take that new money and you reinvest it into, you guessed it, more assets. This creates this incredible compounding loop that eventually, over time, can build an income stream big enough to completely replace your salary. Okay, now, we have to be honest here. This book is not perfect. It's been a massive bestseller for decades, but it's also sparked a lot of debate. So it's really important to look at this with a balanced perspective. Yeah, a lot of critics point out that the book really oversimplifies some super complex topics. It doesn't give you a step-by-step how-to guide. Some of the advice could even be seen as encouraging really risky investments. And there's always been this debate about whether Rich Dad was even a real person. And you know what? Those are all fair points. This book is not a technical investment manual. So the takeaway here shouldn't be that this is some kind of get-rich-quick formula. It's not. The real lasting value of Rich Dad, Poor Dad is its power to completely rewire how you think. It's about changing your perspective on work, on money, and on building wealth. It teaches you to see the world not just as an employee, but as an investor. And that brings us to our final and honestly, our most important lesson from the entire book. When all is said and done, what is the single most powerful tool you have for building wealth? What's the one asset that everything else is built on? According to Rich Dad, the number one asset you will ever have is it's your mind. It's your financial intelligence. It's your ability to understand how money actually works, to see an opportunity where other people just see noise, to analyze a deal, to manage risk. That skill is what allows you to go out and get all those other assets we talked about. This quote from Kiyosaki just nails the entire philosophy. Think about it. You could lose all your money tomorrow, but if your mind is trained, if you have the knowledge of how you built that wealth in the first place, you can just build it all back again. That's why investing in your own financial education is so critical. It gives you the highest return you could ever get. And so we're going to end this with action, because that's the whole point. This book isn't just something to read, it's supposed to be a catalyst. So the final question is for you. What is one thing, just one small thing, you can learn this week to start training your mind and building that ultimate asset? Thanks for tuning in.